what I did see of the live feed, obviously I don't hear any of the commentary or anything, but to me the live feed looked amazing. Obviously there's still like the way too high drone angle for some riders for too long, but just watching the some of the FPV stuff and where they cut, and it was just good. And then to me, they almost like that was the producer. As soon as there was a crash, they would quickly, on a boring section of the guy's run further down, they'd quickly show 2 quick replays of the crash, and then not like have an effect that there was really everything was just seemed pretty dull.
I would say the feedback on that.
Yeah, it just looked like we're just seeing more of we're missing less of the good stuff that's happening, especially when you get the full runs of the top 10 guys.
Okay, so me at home, what's interesting is they cut to some rider interviews at the finish.
So we don't see that on our screen.
Yeah, do you not? So then what happens?
We just see the race live. Yeah,
they cut, but there's 2 screens, so it's fine. You see the riding. Then they cut the commentary, but I'm pretty sure they must be still recording the commentary, because if they're not, imagine that's the winning run. So they must still be. I think they're recording the commentary and then they cut the sound, so that's fine. It's totally fine. I would personally prefer to stay on the rider on screen, but it's subjective for everyone. You need to work those interviews in when there's like a gap between 11th rider and 10th, but it's not my job. It's not a huge thing. It's like a subjective feedback. And then the drone footage is epic. However, I remember watching Leogang in the past where you see far more of the top, and it is really impressive to see that on close-up cameras. The speed and going through the tunnel on the rocks, and that off-camber where they were like launching onto that, like what is a simple off-camber when Nina crashed. So that's just my opinion. It's not wrong or right. I would rather see more close-up of like especially that section. And Fort William had the same issue. Is the drone is epic. You want to see where we're riding in the mountains.
Yeah, you want to set the scene and then move on to the next type of camera.
I'm not in the room, so I'm sure there's many reasons why they do it. But as far as like, it's definitely improving every race. It's cool. It's fun. I would love to have seen a few more on the ground shots, but it takes timing and logistics and money and God knows what else, to be fair. But yeah, Luca was super, super impressive. I mean, he's fast. He apparently pulls away from Troy Brosnan, who's obviously lighter, when Troy's in his slip on the motorway. It's just BMX background. Troy's amazing at it, but you subconsciously know the exact backside and when to pedal, when to pump. Like, it's so second nature for him.
Did you say BMX background so you get some cool pink bike love? Because that's like a trendy comment, BMX background.
No, I think I used to say it in Crankworks. I think I oversaid it in my Crankworks commentary.
Maybe you started the whole BMX background.
Yeah, because half
that pink bike reality show used to always be, she has a BMX background, and that was like, for the next couple of years.
Here's the problem. Half of those people are BMX background that come to Crankworks and do pump track and so on. What else must I talk? We don't know the guy.
More than half of the people.
Like, I should actually say, here's a rider. I should have said, here's a rider with a mountain bike background.
That doesn't have a BMX background.
Yeah.
And Shane Burney, many years ago, when I think he was doing super well, Leogang, and he blew wide right and kind of went over the tape and got a DQ, and he maybe would have got an early podium in his career.
Yeah.
And then this year he did the opposite, because he went wide on the left hand, and now this year it's a right hander, and he lost his feet, and like he would have been looked like he was solid for the podium if that didn't happen.
Yeah, I looked at the splits. I don't want to take away from his ride. I looked at his split.
No, because but if you look at his other splits, like the sector split was in this, the split time was in slightly the wrong place, as you would have seen with guys being green, but then coming out of the woods slower, because if they'd put that split time literally 20 meters further down the track, that was having all the issues. It would have told quite a different story on the splits. But
he could have made it up. He wasn't far off Benoit Coulange, to be fair, and that's who
normally that would be
his.
He was one of the fastest cars on that sector where he did mess up. Yeah.
So but would you say these issues are from lapse of concentration because you're near the finish? I think they're actually from how hard these guys are still pushing. So I know sometimes if you have a good run, you would let up then you could go slower, or you could make a mistake because you're not like in the zone pushing. And to me, these guys are just pushing so hard that it was like a racing incident in a corner that has no support.
You can't, like literally, you used to be able to push that hard for the win. Now you got to push that hard for a podium or a top 10. Like, so the podium guys are pushing for the win. The top 10 guys are pushing for the podium. Like it's you literally can't take it easy a little bit unless you maybe like you have a crazy big gap and you can,
unless you're the...
So I think for sure racing incident, like, and like you can't take it easy even in the greasy conditions. Like you just got to do, Finn said he took
and
it
that's
easy
why we
in
saw the crashes.
one little bit. Yeah. And the guys that didn't take it easy,
that corner sucked balls. Like you're dropping into it.
Well, now you've got ruts
and
as well. And
there's the ruts are afterwards, but like you're dropping into a left-hander, all your weight's going forward, and there's not enough catch berm, or someone before you's like ruined the 2 inches that were there because he's messed it up. Like that corner just sucks balls to start with, and then I guess the more experienced guy maybe let up a little bit, and then they can get wide of the ruts. But hey, dude, I commend guys pushing that hard, making those mistakes. They suck, but pat yourselves on the back for getting down that mountain so fast in those conditions.
Yeah. Cool to see Kolb is like steadily going this year. Like you remember when he had his build up year when he still maybe hadn't had a podium, or maybe he had one podium, and he was just slowly clicking. And
then he had 4 in a row.
And now, he got set back with his wrist injury from, I think, Queenstown perhaps. But now, he had the Magic Fen this year before taking the win at home. The double Austrian win with Svali as well. But he's sneakily, he's creeping back in there, like it's going to be another podium,
and he
so
he had some fighting talk for Loic in Val di Sole. He had some fighting talk, like a little joke in the interview. He's like, I'll get you at Val di Sole. Like he likes the track. I would say 2 guys so Amaury, amazing. I think that's really awesome that he was like there. He overrode. So between Ronan Dunn and Amaury,
his style he looked more like, obviously we love Amaury's running style because of how committed, aggressive. I don't want to say raggedy because it's like the opposite of Loic, but not all the way the opposite. But it looks like, and normally that means he's going to go green or go faster. For some reason on this track, it was slowing him down. This race, anyway.
So Amaury, I would look at it more in terms of he's trying to find his race limit. So yes, his style, but he doesn't know the race limit pace for himself yet. So he's overgone his limit, made more mistakes. And Leogang, you can't do that. Like you need to ride mostly like a Loic. And Ronan Dunn, I think that is exactly what you said. He just overrode it. It's like his style, he overrode it. But Leogang has less room for error. Like if you're just an inch away from the actual good line, you lose momentum, or it's more slippery. Like Poland, maybe there was more give to run a bit wide here and there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what I would say for those guys. Like it's just going to happen with the depth. And for Amaury, I think he's going, okay, so on that type of track, I didn't quite find my race pace. Maybe his race pace isn't actually a win just yet. It's a 4th, it's a 5th, it's a 3rd. Maybe it is, but what he did there was just overrode it. So I think he'll quickly figure that out at Val di Sole.
I'm looking forward to Leger already because, like, if it all clicks by then, and Benoit as well. It's going to be like 4 or 5 Frenchies versus the world again, just like it always is at Leger. And
that race is so cool. And Benoit seemed kind of frustrated at his run. So
he's also like a guy that's a good mix between the Loic and Amaury's style, and it's his own style, but it also, like, I'd say the same thing where he rode and Amaury led a bit of speed with that style. Like Benoit, it looked like he's putting way more effort in than the guys in front of him, so that must take a lot of energy. And it's like you said, it's millimeters to get the downsides and the pumps, and then in your race run, you're going a little bit faster. And if you overshoot one thing, it leads on to the next track. But it obviously it was definitely good enough for the podium, and I don't even know what the time gaps were for the last few guys, but
I'll bring them up. I'll bring them up.
It was big gap. Loic had a big gap considering.
He had a big gap. So he had a big gap, 2.3 seconds, but then from second to fifth is good
another
Lord, only 1 second, under 1 second.
Yeah.
So
So
there's the story, way under 1 second. Chisak,
yeah.
So I would say someone like Danny Hart's got to just be patient. Like, that's a solid weekend. Loris Verger has to also be patient. Fourth at the first two splits, seventh, making mistakes. So it's shit. We keep speaking about him. It's racing, as they say. Easier for me to say it out here on the couch into a microphone.
I guess another thing is like there's I still think like just having the 30 people only, like when you look at the people that made a mistake, like qualied well and then messed their semi up, was it that? Yeah, the Kiwi kid.
Who, Toby Meek?
Toby Meek, like you want to see guys like that in the final, obviously that's the way the sport's set up. That's just, you got to do good in both. But
that's how it's set up now.
There's quite a few names and stories which to me would pique the interest of a greater audience if they were in the final. It's just 10 more minutes. 10 more riders is 10 more minutes. You can put those guys at 1 minute intervals. You don't need 3 minute gaps for them.
We're going on about it the whole time because of the fact
I guess we're beating a dead horse.
No, we're beating a dead horse, but I want to know why. And it comes back to we're missing a few storylines. Storylines are cool. And then I was thinking, I was lying researching. I was going, why am I so passionate about this? What is going on? I'm like, because I'm a core fan. I want to see certain riders there. I'm the guy. Okay, I don't have to buy bikes. Thank goodness. Shout out to Scott. Come on, Scott Bicycles. However, if you're a core fan, aren't you the very guy that goes and buys the product, race Sunday, buy and sell Monday at a certain level? Yes, we want to grow it. So we want to grow audience. But like the broad audience doesn't go, do they buy a bike? My mom doesn't buy a bike. So she's maybe more a core fan that doesn't buy a bike. So I'm just like tying all the loops. And what I'm saying is like in the nicest possible way, I am pleading for some more riders in the final because those storylines are there. And my worry is you want to see Greg Minnaar finish out his year. You want to see him in the final. You want to see Gwyn back. If Gwyn has to come back and he's not on form and he's not in the final, then you've got to wait another race. He doesn't get the same practice. He doesn't. Sometimes you need to be in the final and you're like, oh, that's the speed. At the next race, he goes from 35th, boom, Gwyn's back to 10th. Like, I don't know how his recovery is going to look. But to me, that's a storyline. And let us know in the comments. I put out the semi-final idea of the LCQ, which we've spoken about a lot. I found when I first spoke about it, which was to Bernard in April last year. I sent it to you last year already, mid-year or early. The reason I'm bringing it up
Andrew,
is
we
it's
are
only
record.
landed.
You're the first person that spoke about the LCQ. We're going to call it Andrew's LCQ next year.
Yeah, good.
It's going to be called the AN LCQ, and you can claim it. We call it the Riding the Needle Podcast LCQ at the
I could care less
Whoop
about
Mountain Bike World Cup.
Yeah, I could care less about the what's the word?
Recognition claim.
I don't care. I don't whatever. If they use
we want it for the sport.
The health of the sport. I don't even care if you name it someone else and someone got money for the idea and it was mine. I don't care. Loic just spoke about it. Loic said LCQ. I wonder where he heard that idea from. And he said what he would like to see is, which I stole it from. It's not a unique idea, but in downhill it is.
Exactly, yeah.
No idea is unique this day and age. But he mentioned and he said, I'd like to see more in the final. 30 go through, then the LCQ is 10 or even 20. Like, I think calling it that you beat the best 50 in the world, just pre-record the guys. It doesn't have to go on the broadcast. I don't want it on the broadcast.
Hang on.
Yeah, so the reason I brought it up is it's only landed positively. It's only landed positively from the fans on my YouTube comments, the riders, the Jacksons. He doesn't even care. Jackson's never going to worry about not being in the top 30 in his whole life. He said it was good.
more importantly, Andrew, it's good viewing product, and this is what Warner Brothers Discovery are in the business of. It's entertainment, and people want to see stuff that has consequence, and this is even like an added level on it. But then going back to that, because before, when this very first, when they shrunk to 60 from 80, I was like so against that. But there does need, but I'm also scared about proposed future changes, that it might be like too hard or too small or too elite. But there does need to be less riders racing a World Cup, not necessarily like qualifying, because we're lobbying for more, but we can't have almost 250 elites. We can't have 150 juniors. That's over 3,000 laps on a track. We all want new tracks like Poland and Luneville. You cannot put 3,000 laps on a new track. We complain about bike park tracks. The only tracks, Val Sol's becoming a bike park track. Even now, the Woods and Leogang, to some degrees, 5 years, it's becoming kind of predictable. Fort William, Monsanan, you can't have a track hold 3,000 laps and not be a sustainable bike park track. So it's like a double-edged sword. So yes, I think we do need to limit the amount of people showing up to race the World Cup. Not necessarily like completely like just chop it, like maybe, otherwise you get...
No, but you need to phase it in. I would argue you need to phase it in.
Yeah, phase it in. But we also like, we can't have like 200 juniors and 300 elites just entering, it's just too many
agree.
riders.
I would say...
But we need more in finals, though.
Yeah, more in finals. It's a dead horse. Keep commenting that you want to see more in the finals, and say we don't even want them broadcasted. Keep hammering them. Let's try. That's all we can do. Is like, we can only complain if we've tried. But I think, and that's the challenge, if you don't phase it in, it spits out people before they should have been spat out. So maybe, like coming to 30 is like, maybe we should have had 50 in the final for a year or two, see how that lands. Then, okay, how do we get to 30? Okay, let's figure it out. Let's keep the sport healthy. I don't make the calls. All I'm doing is like, I just want the sport to flourish, and I want the storylines. So that's probably my last bit on the dead horse.
I mean, I take photos, hopefully nice action photos, but I'm really trying to tell a story with the greater body of work from a weekend, and from a race, and from a year, and from a decade. There's a storyline through all of that, not just an Instagram post. So yeah, we're all in it for the stories. We listen to this podcast for the stories. From our end, from a media side of things, like, it's this year, because people just don't like change, and people give Warner Brothers Discovery a lot of shit for a lot of things. But from our working standpoint, some things have been tightened up. Access is tricky, and a lot of things we were allowed to do, we can't do, which is not awesome. Or, but we have, like, this year compared to last year, so they are listening. We've had huge help from like dedicated professional media. I won't say look after the media, but there's press officers that are on site, more than one of them. And they literally helping us do our job better. What can we do? We need to move this, and they help us move it. And we need this, and we have meetings before. And so this is like an open channel of communication. So they're not just like top-down approach. You can't do this, you can't do that. We are now like, which was last year, we were like, it was just huge change all at once for both riders and team managers and photographers and filmers. But it's pretty cool to have people there helping us do our work, even though it is, as the sports become more professional, it's a bit tighter. I can't climb every gondola, tower and tree and building and bridge and antenna and shoot photos like I used to. But
sometimes rules are good, Sven. If you go and fall and hit yourself, and we can't go back to Leogang, we got a bit of a problem. So maybe
because some guy fell off the roof.
Some blanket rules, unfortunately, for the world and society work. I know you hate rules. I know you hate them with a passion.
Took me 50 years, but maybe some are there for a reason. But
I agree. Let's sing some praises, because positive feedback is good. You can't always constructive feedback's good, but being appreciative is even better. They're doing a million things right. They're doing a million things probably better. The sport looks good. We're just kind of looking at it, maybe longevity. Are we worried a bit? Probably. Yeah. Are we too passionate? Probably. But and then, if they're doing three things negative, those are always the things people comment on, same as YouTube. Some guy gave me shit because I uploaded an injury update of Jackson and I recorded it, I don't know, 2 weeks before it came out. And he's like, that's not an update. I was literally like, what do you mean it's not an update? He spoke about his injury, spoke about his rehab, spoke about where he might not rate. I mean, I don't understand how that's not an update. No thanks.
Yeah.
But next time, like, give me more clarity. So, like, I can't win with that comment. And maybe they can't either with all the, like, that shit. Hang on. You're doing all this so well. Thank you. Thank you, Warner Brothers, for a certain amount of good shit. And there's obviously stuff that's peeing off some riders and some teams, and they need to work through that.
Yeah, like, I mean, raise the bloody prize money already, you know. For Reese, why did she got €200? What's she going to do with that? She can't even buy a set of tires. She's not paying for her Schwalbes, but still, maybe, you know, like, anyway, and even Valleys.
No, but then it's like college football or whatever. You're not allowed to take a salary. You're a junior.
No,
you're not allowed to earn money.
College. This is not college
you're not allowed
football.
to earn money, bro. You're a junior.
This is not old school Olympics.
I'm going to make a rule.
Also,
you're an amateur as a junior, not allowed to earn prize money.
Yeah, but easier as an organizer, there's less money to give out.
Hey, they don't listen to my podcast, but if they did, they'd save some cash.
People also like keep still harping on 2 years later, like Red Bull versus Warner Brothers Discovery. They don't realize how close Red Bull and Warner Brothers Discovery are working together. Like, I don't know if you see in the live feed, in the background, there's like all sorts of Red Bull productions happening, like kind of they're forming it while the action's going on live. And Elliot Jackson there, Warner's there half the time, and there's a hell of a lot of Red Bull content and long form, future dated stuff, and Red Bull lounges and Red Bull brand. Yeah, like so, like it's very obvious that Red Bull is not doing the live feed like they did, but they're very much a part of the whole plan and their whole the whole racing.